introduce myself. My name is Wade Meek and I am Operations Manager at Millis Transfer. This is going to be kind of a general overview of how dispatch works different times of year. To begin with, I want to say that we probably have the longest term group of dispatch people in the industry. 8 out of 10 people in dispatch have been at Millis Transfer for over 20 years, so there's a lot of experience there. They know the ups and downs of the business, they know the peaks and valleys of the freight season, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Right now, we're into our valley time of year. A lot of our business is a little bit seasonal, in which we try to work with businesses that are a little bit seasonal on the opposite side of the year. And it's gotten better every year. Freight, though, this time of year does slow up a little bit. We do some extraordinary things as far as deadheading people for loads that we normally wouldn't think of in the summer months. We send the truck empty 300-400 miles sometimes to keep people busy. We do it intentionally. We put the driver first, trying to make sure the miles are there for them in the times of year that aren't as good as the times of year that it is as good. So that changes a little bit, like I said, by the season. We try to get drivers through the house more, slower times of the year. A concerted effort is put forward to that if you got to do a reset, we can't keep you real busy and we know it's going to be more than 34 hours. We try to make sure you can do that at home. And it does work pretty well most of the time. Our customer base at Millis Transfer is fairly wide. A lot wider than when I started here 25 years ago. We do haul a lot of beer, a lot of glass, 4 beer bottles. We do haul a lot of other things though. The paper is big for us. We haul for some implement dealers, some electronics, both rolled and, I'm going to say, kitchen type used paper. Very diverse. Thousands of different customers, and of course each of them has their peaks and valleys. Some of the construction type stuff slows down this time of year. It seems to stay steadier in the south obviously than it does in the northern climates where winter takes its toll on business, but it's pretty good. We stay pretty busy. Our miles for the most part, 4-week period over 4-week period, are real consistent. They normally don't vary more than 500 miles as an average for each dispatch group. And I know sometimes when someone gets stuck somewhere and they're at the bottom end of that scale, but I honestly have to say as an average it doesn't really make much difference anymore whether it's January or May. But there is a little more sitting in the winter months than there is in the summer. Loads aren't loaded on time. A lot of times somebody will get some location and have to wait into the next morning to get a better load than what's currently loaded. We always give the driver the option, hey, I have this 350 mile load, would you rather have that? Or do you want to wait and, I got to load this 850 miles, it's not loaded yet. We let that be decided by the individual driver, whichever would work better for them. Some people would rather wait, other people would say, hey, I'll take that load, I can work my reset in, works all good for me. Or I got a friend that lives en route, or whatever the case would be. So we put the driver first 99.9% of the time. We try to keep the truck moving always. You gotta remember, you guys don't make any money if we ain't making money. Dispatch job is to make sure that truck is moving as much as it can be. There's no advantage to have it sit for anybody, so that is always our first priority.
Keeping the driver moving is, because the driver's not out there to sit and wait.
Sure.
And things like that.
That's huge.
What about weekends and things like that? What kind of problems you've been having lately?
Weekends are more like getting back to loads being loaded in a timely manner. Some of it is a freight slowdown. Construction business is particularly right now is slowed down. We did switch our own dispatch in the last year. We went to a 24/7 OTR dispatch. We never had that on weekends before. We had basically our short haul division took care of our OTR stuff on the weekends. Changed that back in May. We have dispatch in here 7 days a week. So I think that helps some with that problem. But again, it goes back to when loads are loaded. Customers tend to have a little bit of issue. Sometimes on Friday, something's supposed to be ready Friday, all of a sudden it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday before the load is ready. So, like I said, we go back again to, kind of giving the driver the option. Do you want the load that's loaded? May not be the miles that the one that is supposed to load. We try to pre-plan as much as we can, but due to not having the ability to know for sure when customers will load loads, it gets a little bit harder, especially this time of year.
Well, another thing with the tight job market, a lot of places are only open Monday through Friday, and they don't have people that come in on Saturday, so the freight's not going to get loaded in either. So,
and a lot of the places that we see, they're very limited in loading on weekends. They have partial crews that come in. It just doesn't seem to be as efficient as it is in other times of the year. I can't say that it's a certain customer, because I think times of the year have a big impact on that. Around the holidays, I would assume a lot of places, just like us, have a lot of people taking vacation time off. It's pretty hard for them to keep everything going as good as they normally can.
If things aren't working out, if you're unhappy, you're having a bad week, what we don't want to have happen. And if we do sit, what do you guys do for the driver? Do you work it out with them if it's more than a day, and you case by case basis? Or?
We do case by case, and part of the reason we don't do a blanket deal is a lot of times the driver's at home when they're sitting. That's a little bit different than being out on the road somewhere. We pay layover. Normally we have a pretty good group of people that'll find a way to make the truck move, even in slow times of the year. But yeah, we pay layover. We do pay for breakdown on drivers' lost hours of drive time. It's not fair to a driver to be penalized because they had a flat tire and it took 5 hours of their drive time up. Made them late on their delivery, couldn't deliver till the next day. No fault of the driver at all. We do compensate for that kind of stuff. We do leave it on an individual basis because we always look at the amount of time that the driver had for driving. We're not going to pay for break time, but like I said, if you had 5 hours of drive time lost, we compensate for the 5 hours of drive time lost. All you got to do is relay that to your driver manager, and it's paid pretty much instantly. I guess one of the things I would like to bring up is I want every driver to know that the operations department works extremely hard to make sure you are moving. And one thing I think people don't realize is when freight's really good, being in operations is real easy. The worst time of year is when it's slower. It's a lot more work, both for customer service and dispatch, a lot more trying to plan, a lot more frustration. It's a much better job out here when there's 3 loads for every truck. Customer service might not agree with that most of the time, but it makes dispatch a lot simpler. Other times of the year, a lot of work goes into keeping that truck moving through the weekend, and even sometimes during the week when you get weather delays, and sometimes customers won't quite work with you how you're hoping to. So it takes somebody a lot of time and a lot of effort. And these guys and gals are all real good at that. They give it their all. And I wanted to make sure you guys know that when freight's slow, they're just as down on it as you guys are, and maybe even worse.